You're listening to Snippets from the Summit with your host, Scot McKay.
All right, gentlemen, this is your main man, Scot McKay, coming at you again with another snippet from the summit as part of the Mountaintop podcast from X&Y Communications. Today, we're going to talk about why narcissists, and I'm talking women here, female narcissists, okay? Don't get fooled into believing only men can be narcissist jerks, okay? Why you keep attracting narcissistic women. And I'm going to give you clear solutions on how to stop after you've identified who these women are so you can avoid them to begin with. But first, I want to let you guys know, hey, you know what? There are a lot of you guys out there suffering from this problem. I used to be one of them. And if you want to talk about it, if you want to get coaching, absolutely contact me, Scot at mountaintoppodcast.com. First consultation is free. Let's talk about it and let's break this cycle. It could be the best decision you've ever made. So with that said, let's dive into this then. What is going on here? Well, what apparently is happening is a lot of guys, maybe you included if you're listening to this, maybe the title of this podcast caught your eye. It's as if you're meeting different women but having the same relationship. You are getting nothing out of the relationship. When you ask yourself a question like, what am I getting out of this relationship? You have no good answer. And that's assuming you ever get to the point where you even realize you need to ask that question. Why? Because what narcissistic women do is make you really feel as if you need to give to them, you need to make them happy, you need to make their life better. That's your job. And if you don't do well enough at that, what you need to do is double down and do better. And we fall into this trap because guess what? Women who are narcissists, and by that I mean women who think only about themselves, I mean this is beyond mere selfishness to the point of they really don't care about you or your happiness. It's all about getting what they want, and everything they do is a means to that end of getting what they want. What they do is they find people, they find men in particular, who are like you and get into a relationship with you because of who you are. So what kind of guy are you if you're typically attracting narcissistic women? Well, the first thing is you're optimistic. In other words, you're always assuming the best in people. You're assuming that a good outcome would happen. And guess what, guys? That is a heck of a trait to have. That's a positive trait. When you meet other optimistic people, you can move mountains together. You can solve problems. You can accomplish goals. You can do great things. So there's nothing wrong with being optimistic per se. The second trait you probably have is also terrific. You're very likely a generous guy. You'll give, you'll donate, you want to help, you want to make the world a better place, not a worse one. You're looking to leave a legacy. You're probably a wonderful mentor to the younger guys. And of course, that's all wonderful. Those are all positive, big four-man adjacent traits to have. The next trait you probably have is that, like most men, you're hardwired to fix things. If something's broken, you want to find a solution, you want to fix it, you want to make something that isn't working functional again. That's hardwired into us as men. The other trait you might have, and this isn't necessarily the case, but boy, do narcissistic women love to target this one, is you've been told you must never, ever, 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 ever give up. There is no such thing as quitting. Quitting is for pussies, and therefore you stubbornly hold fast to whatever it is you're grinding with without quitting. Now, the difference between being stubborn and being a quitter has everything to do with the likelihood of a positive outcome even being there for you. That's the big differentiator. If you are absolutely battling against a situation where there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you're being stubborn vis-a-vis reality. If something just gets a little bit difficult and you're kind of lazy and you just say, oh, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, then you're that lazy quitter who doesn't have much resilience or much of a spine. Those are the traits that people who are narcissists look for. Now, I'm going to be quick to tell you these traits could be found in someone male or female, and men can manipulate and selfishly use other men. It can happen in business. Women can manipulate and use each other as women as well. It is not even a gay or straight problem, in case that's not obvious. So the big question is, why do we keep falling for it? How are these narcissists so good at this? Well, here's the strange and even horrifying truth. Narcissists absolutely know the difference between right and wrong, and they have us figured out. They know the kind of people we are. They know how we're likely to respond to their ever-increasing demands for more, even as they've charmed us into liking them and taking them on at the beginning. They know what they're doing. They read us like a cheap paperback. But us, the normal guys out there, the guys who are optimistic and generous and hardwired to fix things and maybe a little stubborn about it, but we're certainly not trying to use people or make other lives miserable at our expense, we often can't wrap our heads around how someone could possibly be as evil as a narcissist. Oh, come on, we say. They're just having a bad day or they're going through something difficult. Guys, wake up. You have every right to just say no when this is happening to you. You've got to look this in the eye and realize it is what it is. Someone who's trying to take you, someone who is not doing right by you, someone who has evil within their hearts. You need to step up, put an end to these relationships and just say no, and then deal with whatever fallout you get from the narcissist with a smile because you're on to them, finally. They've been on to you for ages. Now it's time to even the score and get out. And gentlemen, you can get rid of this pattern and delete it by simply looking for the red flags going forward and standing up against them and breaking that relationship off as soon as you see them. What I did in my own personal life was I announced on first dates, right when a woman usually conveniently asked me what I'm looking for, that I was not going to deal with narcissistic women. I was a giver, I was an optimistic person, and I was looking for someone like me, and I knew how to suss out the people who were very selfish and in it all for themselves, and I wouldn't get into relationships with them. And guess what? That moment was the very moment I stopped attracting narcissists. They self-identified and they got out because they wanted an easier target. And yes, you can do the same. And my not so bold prediction for you is from this day forward, you'll start attracting better women who are sweeter, kinder, treat you better. Again, want to talk about this or anything else? Scot at mountaintoppodcast.com. Be good out there.
As always, visit mountaintoppodcast.com for more.